Hi, I'm Gary Hall Sr., and today on a beautiful day in the Florida Keys in Isla Mirada with the Florida Bay in our background, I'm very honored and pleased to have two guests with me today from Open Water Swimming. First, we have the team director for USA Swimming Open Water, Paul Asmuth. Paul, nice to see you again.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And we also have Jack Roach. Jack is the team director for youth swimming in USA Swimming, and he also serves a role as a little bit of the team manager and political liaison, I guess I would put it, for open water swimming. And both of you, it's great to have you here in the Keys for a little training and enjoyment. Paul, let me start with you. I was honored to be there last year when you were inducted into the the International Swimming Hall of Fame for open water swimming. And I learned more about you that night than I had in all the years before. But I was most impressed. Arguably the best open water swimmer that our country's ever produced, if not one of the best. But you're now in more of a coaching role and an advisory capacity. Let's first talk about why the surge in interest in open water swimming. What do you attribute that to, and are you surprised by it?
I think the surge has come about because suddenly it's an Olympic event starting in the Beijing Olympics. So when the announcement came out in 2005 that they'd added a 10-kilometer open water race, I think that's really started getting a lot more attention, media attention, and also the teams were much more focused on it, the teams around the world, the club teams. Hey, there's another event now for our distance athletes, and there wasn't a lot of open water experience up to that point. We've come a long way since 2005, I think, as a country. And but I think the combination of the Olympics was absolutely the sort of that tipping point.
What about the sport of triathlon? Has that increased the interest in open water swimming, you think, for the competitive side, or do you think that has that had any impact at all?
I think it's the sport of triathlon's had a very big impact because it's, suddenly that the sport became popular in the early 80s, and suddenly there was people who never, mainly were runners and bikers, and they were, being forced to do something that was a little more uncomfortable for them, and many of them became very good swimmers. And even though the swimming typically is the shortest part of the triathlon, oftentimes I find that it's the most difficult for many, and that's the area that they have the hardest time. If they don't have a swimming background, the area they have the hardest time adjusting to.
Jack, let me ask you, because you're focused on youth swimming in the U.S., how are you going about trying to recruit more swimmers to get involved in open water swimming? And what are the percentages of swimmers that are in competitive swimming that go into open water?
I guess we have a two-part question, and one is more youth getting involved in open water. And I think with the recognition that open water swimming's been getting due to the fact that it is an Olympic event, and also the fact that a lot of these younger athletes that you just talked to have, and older athletes have stayed in the sport to swim open water or are moving into open water and starting to get recognition. It's gained in popularity due to the personalities of the people that are in the sport, and you find people levitating towards it because it's if they do it once, they're going to continue to do it. The outdoor environment, it just has a festive feel to it, and it's so different from the pool, yet it enhances the pool athlete as well. We also, with the youth team, the top 6 men and top 6 women are selected to be youth team swimmers, and they have international competition once they've made the team. And I guess that's the promotional side of it, is the fact that we're looking at other avenues to expose these younger athletes under the age of 18 to open water swimming. FINA has now started a youth open water program for ages 13 to 16 and 16 to 18. With shorter distances, it's a 3.5K, a 5K, and a 7K, and that will start not this year, but the year of 12 to 13.
Paul, I think if we could fast forward in your mind with a little crystal ball and you could visualize what's going to happen to open water swimming 5 or 10 years or maybe even further down the road, based on our knowledge of the popularity of open water in some countries, which is phenomenal, how do you see it playing out in the U.S. and the rest of the world?
There's some races in the world already that have numbers of, they'll have an open water event with 10, 20,000 swimmers. So it could get to that point if, for the right places. You already have events with, in the United States with over 1,000 participants, from younger swimmers all the way through the masters ranks. And then, as Jack said earlier, it has that sort of festive atmosphere where the whole family can come and participate. So I see it continuing to grow. How big, I don't know. I think that the United States probably has the most potential because we have incredible places to swim and train and clean water, much more than most areas of the world. So it has unlimited potential in my mind.
It's a question for both of you, but it's a little hard from a spectator standpoint if you're standing on the shore and you're watching a ship go out to sea and come back. But the venues you see today aren't all like that. They're circular courses. They have places where spectators can watch the entire race. How does that play into the popularity? Jack, we'll start with you.
Well, when you get to the larger events, there is a big screen with the entire race visible to the spectator. And like you said, they now have looped courses, and the Fort Lauderdale race will be really straight down the beach, around a buoy, straight down the beach, and it's never more than 50 yards offshore, so you could walk the entire race, both the Fran Crippen 10K as well as our Olympic trials or our national championships. So I think that enhances it, and I do believe that there's so many ways to promote it that I certainly have not come up with the way to do it, but it is a popular sport to watch. I've seen races where there have been big party boats out in the water where people could watch it from the water itself. Is awesome.
Paul, you have any tricks for how to make this a more popular sport? I mean, it's going in the right direction, but what are some of your thoughts about how it could be showcased to be a little bit more spectator friendly?
I like the venues are very important, but I also think the starting at the younger level, places like La Jolla, Rough Water Swim, where it's really a family affair. We have several places in California where they have races from 500 meters, 1,000, 1 mile, 2 mile, and the whole family is participating. There's picnics afterwards, and when you get out, everybody has a wonderful story to tell, or a different story to tell anyway. And I think that's the way to continue to build it, so that it's very embracing to the family, and beautiful places, wonderful clean beaches, and I think and then at the elite level, the venues need to have that access. And as Jack was mentioning, most of the big events do have incredible big screen capabilities being streamed from on the water to the screen. And in Beijing at the Olympics, they had cameras above the swimmers the whole race, which was kind of like you see in the NFL. It was just really fantastic to watch.
By the way, I'm proud to say that I swam in the La Jolla Rough Water as an 11-year-old. So
excellent.
I didn't win, but I had fun doing it.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Last question for both of you. Since Fran's death, a lot of provisions that weren't in place for open water swimming for safety are now being implemented. Are both of you satisfied that they're doing the right things now, or could more be done to protect our athletes?
I've been to 2 open water races since we lost Fran. One was in Argentina and one was in Cancun last week, and I would say that open water swimming is it's a dangerous event. It's not a safe event if you don't have enough eyes on the water. And I do believe that everyone that every race that I've experienced since the loss of Fran is an improvement, but I still believe we have a long way to go. I believe that the United States has always set the standard for a safe race, and other countries are starting to understand the importance of putting a high standard on hosting a safe race in order to get people to attend. So yes, it's getting better. Can it improve? It sure can.
Paul, you have any thoughts there?
I think the United States has taken a lead in drafting safety improvements, and I believe some I know some have already been adopted, and some will continue to be adopted by USA Swimming's Board of Directors. I agree with Jack that still more eyes on the water is what's the most important thing, and knowledgeable people, race directors, safety officers, the day of the race, because conditions can change rapidly in open water events, and you can have a beautiful day like this, and then suddenly a thunderstorm comes up, and what's the plan? So I just think that the knowledge and experience of who is ever hosting the race is probably the most important thing.
Well, I think we learned one valuable lesson, as no matter how great an athlete you are, how good of shape you think you're in, it can be, as you said, Jack, and is a dangerous sport, and you have to be mindful of the conditions, which really can take what normally wouldn't be a dangerous situation and turn it into a dangerous situation very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think you can be careful enough in this endeavor, and hopefully we'll never see that kind of a tragedy again. Anyway, it's a pleasure to have you guys both here, and I hope you have a great stay in the Keys. We look forward to great things from the USA swimmers in the upcoming trials and World Championships and in the Olympics. We're rooting for you.
Thanks.
Paul, thank you.
Yeah.
Jack, appreciate it.